Welcome back to Weekly Briefing. We are here with our panel of experts. Joining me in studio, Malik Abdul, GOP political strategist. Jim Hansen, author of Winning the Second Civil War Without Firing a Shot. Donna Jackson, accountant and member of Project 21. And Jim Robbins, columnist at USA Today. The United States has stabilized Afghanistan for 20 years, and Joe Biden destroyed it in 7 months. The nation overwhelmingly disapproves of his handling of the situation, and here's his response.
I stand squarely behind my decision. After 20 years, I've learned the hard way that there was never a good time to withdraw U.S. forces.
Jim Hansen, is that the right move?
Nobody is arguing with him. 70% of Americans support leaving Afghanistan right now. We just had the forlorn hope that maybe it would be done with an ounce of competence. We were failed by Joe Biden and his clown car of foreign policy losers. They didn't plan, they didn't execute, and now the Afghan people, American security, and our credibility around the world have been destroyed.
Right, and this was something that even the media has been saying since it happened. When they left Afghanistan, folks were asking the Pentagon, saying, you just up and left. You left our aircraft there, you left a lot of military equipment there. What do you think, Mike?
This is what almost 50 years of experience in Washington gets you, because Joe Biden was the experienced president. This is the one that we needed. We needed him for our allies to, start to respect us again around the world, but not being able to anticipate what withdrawing, a poorly planned withdrawal, if there was a plan at all, not being able to anticipate that with all of his experience and the experience of his generals, and despite what he says about this at all, this isn't on Trump. Right. Trump's not in office. This is under Joseph Robinette Biden's watch, and he should be held accountable for it.
He should be. I actually think you make a good point. They have all this experience. I think they knew better. I think they've gotten so comfortable lying to people and just saying, just believe my narrative, that they actually deceived themselves into thinking we can say, no, the Taliban's not going to invade, and actually think that reality would follow. I think they're just out to lunch. But the Biden administration completely failed to structure the withdrawal, as Jim just said. They now have to face that they lied to the world and to Americans, putting their lives at risk. Here's White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki saying they have a plan.
We are prioritizing a number of groups: American citizens, embassy employees and their families, our locally employed staff, SIV holders and applicants, Afghans who would be eligible for P1, P2 refugee programs, which includes, by the way, translators who may have assisted media organizations and others. There have been, how the process works, I should tell you, is that there are individuals who will self-identify as American citizens. That number is around 11,000. Beyond that, around the country. Beyond that, though, there are individuals who may not have self-identified, who may come and request assistance and come to the airport.
This is particularly striking to me because the State Department and DOD have very structured procedures of when and how to remove all of those groups of people. As a United States Marine, I served at Marine Forces Europe and Africa and saw the evacuation procedures take place as regions heated up, particularly in South Sudan. Family members leave first. Before the conflict starts, they move through the chain and eventually evacuate everyone before there are casualties. The fact that they are just now talking about this means the entire administration, from the Department of Defense to the State Department to the White House, was at their best derelict in their duties.
Couldn't have said it better.
I'm hot about this one. I get mad. I'm mad because that was easy.
Opinion on this. You're right. Non-combatant evacuation operation.
Exactly.
I mean, doctrinally, it is very set. It's not like we haven't done this before. It has happened. People train on it. When I worked at Quantico with the Marines, we trained on this. We did exercises. Everybody knows what to do if you follow the playbook. If you decide not to follow the playbook, well, then anything goes, as we've seen. We have the embassy telling people as the situation was developing and as things were falling apart, the embassy said, shelter in place.
Right.
Right, so don't come to the airport. And this is now why we have unknown numbers, thousands perhaps, of people behind Taliban lines and no plan to get them out. They didn't notify our NATO partners. It took them completely by surprise. The United States just kind of vanished. And then, the British and others, the Germans in the country were like, where did everybody go? Well, we bugged out. That's what happened.
Right.
And it's clear they may have had a plan, but they didn't execute it was the problem. And they can't say that, well, no one knew this was going to happen, which is what they're saying now. Of course there was chaos. No, of course there was not chaos if you do it correctly.
That's right. Donna, what do you think?
The same people that say they had a plan said they had the plan for COVID, and how is that working out? Not at all. These so-called experts have been screwing up the country for 7 months, and so it's not surprising what we're seeing today.
Very good point. Very good point. In the same address, Biden blames the Afghan government and military for simply giving up and not trying. Here's Joe Biden blaming the very same people that Americans have given their lives to protect.
I always promised the American people that I would be straight with you. The truth is, this did unfold more quickly than we had anticipated. So what's happened? Afghanistan political leaders gave up and fled the country. The Afghan military collapsed, sometime without trying to fight.
Jim Hansen, what's your reaction?
I think the 70,000 Afghans who died fighting for their country might disagree with Joe Biden about that. They gave up at the end because we took away their air force, we took away their air cover, and we took away any chance they had to fight for their country by running away in the dead of night. So I don't think he should be talking smack about what the Afghans did when he's the one who planned and executed a cut and run.
Right. Malik, what do you think?
I mean, just the audacity of it. He says that he accepts responsibility, but that speech, and it has been widely panned. Of course, some of the acolytes, the acolytes in Joe Biden world aside, they've panned his speech, they've criticized his speech because the tone was all off. He didn't accept responsibility, and to really blame the Afghani people and Donald Trump, because he's going back. Joe Biden has had no problem undoing every other Donald Trump policy, but he couldn't do this. I don't believe it. Don't believe him at all. He needs to accept responsibility for it, and this will be a defining moment of his presidency.
And he didn't even follow Donald Trump's plan. People criticize Trump for wanting to get out of Afghanistan, but he had a structured plan with conditions and requirements to be met before we left, and Joe Biden just tucked tail and ran and then tried to blame President Trump for it. The media's response to Biden's Afghanistan disaster is to lie. Despite the fact that women are now being assigned as sex slaves to soldiers, CNN wants you to believe everything is fine. Here's CNN reporters saying they're chanting death to America, but they seem friendly.
They're just chanting death to America, but they seem friendly at the same time. It's utterly bizarre.
What do you think, Donna?
Oh my God, this is ridiculous. They still trying to give cover to an incompetent president. They're sitting there saying, they seem friendly. I watched all of these speeches of people from the Biden administration saying, and the Taliban better be nice to the women. I mean, who would have thought of that before we abandon
They better be nice to the women or what?
They better be nice to the women. This is so ridiculous, and this is CNN at its worst and its best because they just think all of their audience is stupid.
That's the only way you can take that assessment, is that CNN believes their viewers are stupid.
Yeah, it was a mostly peaceful Taliban takeover. I just want to throw that one out there.
And they're assigning sex slaves peacefully.
Yeah.
Right, it's all peaceful.
Yeah.
Jim Hansen, what do you think about the media's response?
Well, I think the calls they made for an inclusive government will include every flavor of misogynistic, patriarchal Islamist terrorist that the Taliban has. I don't think they're going to include women and anybody else in a meaningful way. That's not what they do.
It's not who they are.
And I just wanted to say very quickly, you're talking about the media. Well, of course, the media is largely part of Biden's, fandom. But, they're also now comparing the Taliban to what happened on January 6th. So that's another level.
Malik,
of what
we're out of
the media
time. You can't do this to me. All right, don't go anywhere. When we come back from the break, we'll discuss California's recall election. We'll be right back.